Hi, my name is Nina Melendez. I am a high school math teacher working in collaboration with the Division of Multilingual Learners. Today, we are going to be looking at a couple of lessons that involve patterns. Remember, you can always know what supports you need for this lesson for multilingual learners in slides 10 and 11. So, we are going to look at the launch of this lesson, the launch introduction of this lesson. Students are asked to analyze the pattern found in the figure and to determine which expression this doesn't belong. Okay, which expression does not belong. So, something that I suggest to do with students, especially multilingual learners, is to highlight specifically what you want them to look at. So they will know that they need to look at this figure, which is presented here. And I've highlighted here in this example the word expressions, and then I've pointed out where those four expressions are found. Additionally, where it says which one does not belong, I would stress the word doesn't as meaning does not belong and show them where the answer goes, and that does not belong because it's asking why it does not belong. So going back to this lesson, another way you can support our multilingual learners is giving them a different model or modeling how to approach this model. I will insert a clip right around here, right around this time point, so that you can see how this could be modeled with our multilingual learners and what are ways that we can approach this by accessing prior knowledge. We are going to work together on the introduction launch slide of this lesson to problem solve how can we approach these types of questions. Okay, so in the first part, we see that it says, I'm going to highlight this here with my drawing tool. Here are four expressions that represent the number of small squares in the figure. So it's talking about the squares in the figure. The word expressions, these four expressions are right here. Expression A, B, expression C, and expression D. Okay, so after analyzing that piece of information, we can go ahead and see what is it asking. It's asking me, which one doesn't belong? Which one doesn't belong? So which one does not, the word not belong? Okay, which one does not belong? And here it says blank does not belong because here I want to know the why doesn't it belong. Okay, so we are going to analyze this pattern and see which of these expressions does not fit this pattern. Okay, remember, you can approach this in any way that is comfortable for you. I am going to teach you a way that you could approach it if you need a good starting point. So let's look at what I can look at when approaching this. So one thing I can do is that I can count out my boxes. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 boxes by or times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so then I say, okay, so I have a 6 by 8. 6 by 8. So thinking about this, I have a 6 by 8. Okay, which of these expressions could actually fit this? I have a 6 by 8, but I see here that I seem to be missing a piece of my 6 by 8. So I have to keep that in mind when analyzing these type of questions. Okay, so thinking on this approach, I already know I have a 6 by 8 grid. So let's look at expression A. Expression A tells me I am starting with a 6 by 8. I'm starting with a 6 by 8. We're good. Okay? And then it says, in the same expression, it tells me that it's subtracting a 2 by 3. So I know that this is missing a piece. Something is being taken away or subtracted. So what is it missing? So it's missing, if I were to complete the grid, if I were to quickly complete this grid, I would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I am missing a 2 by 3 grid. So thinking about this, I am like, okay, so expression A does fit. It does fit. But I want to find the one that does not fit. I want to find the one that does not fit. As we see this, slide A and slide B have to do with the same type of thinking. So these would be basically the same type of approaches and skills that will be developed. Now, when we move on to slide D, the students are asked to complete the table with the number of dots. Same thing here. I would have the students look at the image first and analyze what they already know. They say step 0, there is 1, and I would actually model the first couple of parts of the table so that they are able to just continue the pattern, knowing what is expected of them. Okay, so looking at the following lessons, these same skills will be repeated. And the goal is that if you have modeled it in a previous lesson, the student is able to apply it and reapply it in the upcoming lessons. Some students might need more support, but hopefully this introduction will allow them to access the information. So when we look over at lesson 3.9 and slide B, this is a very good opportunity to give students, whether it's through Nearpod, Pear Deck, or any platform you are using that they can virtually interact, an opportunity to maybe share their responses. You already are telling them that Han is correct. So they only have to explain why. Therefore, it gives the student the opportunity to be part of the class and see what other students are thinking. Now, like I said, these lessons are going to have patterns. So if we backtrack a little in this lesson and I go to slide B, I'm seeing again this opportunity for students to work with a table. Tables are going to be very beneficial for multilingual learners. Now, they are also asked to, is the number of small squares growing linearly? Explain how you know. This is a good section to give our students sentence starters so that they already start thinking critically and follow the line of thought that you're trying to teach them. So this same type of thinking is going to be repeated in lesson 3.10, where we are looking for opportunities to give our students sentence starters, also looking for opportunities to have them compare their answers, have them maybe share their answers privately on Pear Deck, or have a Desmos little quiz where they can just put their ideas, share them with the rest of the class. Desmos can share anonymously. So these are all different tools that you can use in your classroom to help your kids share their answers. Now, looking at this slide, it says, if the pattern continues, what will we see in step 5 and step 18? Now, in the previous lessons, our students have been using tables, so this might be a good opportunity to maybe either give them a table again. Right now, you don't have a table, and if you think your students are at the point that they can realize that they maybe should write a table, perfect. But If not, providing it for them in this point is a really good way to get them to problem solve with something that they have already seen. So going on over to this lesson, we have the same type of thought here where we see our patterns. At this point in this lesson, the kids, this is already the fourth lesson where kids are analyzing patterns, so they might have come into a good rhythm with patterns already. So here is a good opportunity to really have them share answers. And I would actually focus in this lesson and the following lesson on having them work collectively to share all their answers with one another. That way they can work together. You can also assign this lesson to the whole class and make copies of the slides and maybe group the students into smaller groups. So I'll assign lesson 3.11 to the entire class, and I'll make a couple copies of the Explore and have 4 students working on the same slide together. If you're using Zoom, you can separate them into breakout rooms, and this is a really good way to get students talking to each other, problem solving, and really engaging with the content. I hope all these tips are helpful. Remember, you know your students best, so use what helps and what doesn't, just put it in your toolbox. Have a lovely day.